Hello, I'm pretty excited today because today makes it exactly 2 years that I left paid employment. It's been a roller coaster ride. There have been ups, there have been downs, but I love helping people get their groove. And so, what I'm doing now is probably what I've been doing forever. I enjoy what I'm doing. I like the fact that I have flexible timing for my family. I'm glad. So, let's go ahead to share our tips for the month of May. I'm sorry I came late, but I'm here now. Showing up is what matters. I have shown up. So, in the month of May, I want us to talk about negotiations. Negotiation is what you do all the time. When you're making a purchase, when you're exchanging something, when somebody has something you want, and even in the house when you need to get something done and you need to buy somebody over with your art of persuasion. This month, I want us to learn how to do it better. The purpose of negotiation is to get a mutually acceptable outcome. So, this month, starting from tomorrow, let us learn how to negotiate better and get the results that we actually seek from life. See you tomorrow. Today, I'll be sharing my first tip on negotiation, and that is preparation. The very first thing you need to do when preparing to negotiate is to ascertain what you want. When ascertaining what you want, you will be surprised that what you thought you want is not actually what you want. Why do I say this? Because there are many ways to belly cut. When preparing, you need to find out what are the different things that can be done to get me that desired outcome. When you have outlined the different ways in which you can achieve exactly the aim you seek to achieve, it will be easy to jettison one path for another. So, you need to make sure that you know what you must have, which is the desired goal. You need to know what would be nice to have, some additions that you would not mind if they add to your desired goal. And you also need to know the things that you can do without, because this will come in handy when you are negotiating with someone. Continuing our discussion on emotional intelligence, we need to move to the next stage. Right after outlining what your needs are, you need to find out what does the other party want from this whole process. You would recall that we had agreed that the purpose of negotiating is a mutually acceptable outcome. So, what is important to that other party in this negotiation? It's an important point for you to note. You need to engage emotional intelligence to decipher exactly what that person wants from your conversation with the person. It could be an informal negotiation. It could be a negotiation between corporates. I remember that during the week, I was taking a class on customer service and somebody mentioned to me that how do you pacify a customer who seems to be perpetually complaining? I had to advise her, jettison your preconceived notion of what the person needs. Forget about your product, forget about your service, and get to the heart of the matter. Continuing our discussion on negotiation, it is imperative that we move our preparation to the next stage. Now, you have outlined your objectives. You have also outlined what you believe the other person wants. I hope you remembered to divide what the person wants into what the person must have, what the person would love to have, and what the person can do away with. Now, with those two lists, what you need to do is find common ground. Just the same way you do when you're trying to find the lowest common multiple. Common multiples, you tick them off because really there's no discussion about that. You agreed on that. Then you locate and isolate the sticky points, the issues that seem to be in opposite directions, thereby narrowing down the discourse of the negotiation. Dear negotiation students, I was going to start talking about modes of communication while negotiating, and then I thought, okay, let's talk about selection of negotiation venue and all other ancillary things that could affect your power in a negotiation. But then I realized that there's a tool I need to share that would help you assess your position best. And this tool is the use of WATNA and BATNA. What is WATNA? WATNA is the worst alternative to a negotiated agreement, i.e. is the worst case scenario. Meanwhile, BATNA is the best alternative to a negotiated agreement. I mean, if everything were ideal, what would it be like? Now, these two pictures are pictures you need to bear in mind whenever you want to negotiate, so that you know, hey, if this thing falls out, this is the worst that could ever happen. He helps you prepare for all eventualities. Always bear these pictures at the back of your mind when negotiating. Yes, I own one of these, and yes, it is recommended. So don't get it twisted. We continue our conversation on negotiation today by talking about how to choose a venue. Now, some people might wonder, why is it important where the negotiation takes place? If not anything, you are always more comfortable in your own space. Now, if you're in your space, you have access to whatever information you need, the journal, you wrote some notes in relation to the object of your negotiation on. You can pick things from somewhere around you. More than that, you can arrange interruptions when either emotions are getting high or you have dropped a bombshell that you want them to think about. The truth is, a few more seconds of thought might make the difference between somebody agreeing and disagreeing. Now, you would think, why would you want to go away to have a negotiation? Well, going to negotiate in somebody else's space is reason for you to make a first demand. You could either demand to set the agenda of the meeting, or you could demand to state your position first. Stating your position first might actually give you an advantage in that you can now argue that what you want is not such a big deal. When you get to make your position known first, it grants you a lot of advantages in the picture painting scene. Of course, don't forget all the things we learned in our communications class. You need to learn how to paint the picture. You need to learn how to communicate yourself well. But let's wait till tomorrow when I now share some tips on communication in negotiation, because you would never know what exactly your body is saying when you're trying to get something from someone. See you tomorrow. Hello. Today's video is the last video in the month of May. It's the 7th one. And so anything you've not learned in these 7 videos, you might need some one-on-one that, of course, would be paid for. So I did promise that today we will discuss in detail communication tips. Now, these tips vary. But before you start looking out for signals in the way the person is speaking, or before you start paying attention to your body language yourself, I must mention that you have absolutely no business talking to somebody that does not have the power to decide. A lot of the time when we enter into negotiations, they send a delegation. The first thing you need to do is check out that delegation. Who has a decision-making power in that delegation? If everybody you are talking to still has to go and meet their manager to report what you have said before they can make a decision, that negotiation might not be worth your time. So, first thing to check is decision-making power. So let me quickly run through some communication tips. If the person is speaking slowly and deliberately, the person is confident and most likely has decision-making power. If the person is talking a bit too fast and is smiling a bit too much, then that person probably is suffering from a bout of nervousness. Anybody that folds their hands and leans back in their chair when you're making your presentation is hostile. That person is hostile. You need to watch that person in the decision-making process. The person is likely to oppose whatever it is you're trying to say. The person has made up his mind before he came to that place. Now, that's the person leaning back. The person that is leaning forward with the arms together on the table is interested in what you're saying. Now, I'm talking about a table sitting position. Now, that person is interested and the person is actually waiting for you to be able to persuade him or her about what you're saying. If the person, for one reason or the other, gets his hand on his chin, either this way or this way, the person is contemplating what you're saying. You're scoring a home point. Any good point you have at that time is what you should put forward, because that person is paying attention to you. Now, if there's anybody who is not meeting your gaze, the person is looking away, looking there, somewhere else, then that person is actually not there. Another telltale sign is when the person is doodling, paying attention to the paper and drawing all sorts of rubbish there, or the person is playing with a pen. That person is not with you. The first thing you need to do is engage the person. Find a point that is wonderful to the person that will catch the person's attention. When you have his or her attention and he or she stops playing with that pen, that person will be with you, and that will be a good point to sell your point. Now, the last one is the person whose arms are open on the table, not interlocked, not folded, just open. That person came to that meeting with an open mind, ready to receive whatever you have to say. That is another person on that team that would listen well to you and be able to score your point. I hope that with these few points of mine that I've put too much into this last part, I've been able to teach you a few things that will make it easier for you to negotiate. This is me saying, See you next month. Well, I might be back before then, but I'll be back next month with another topic. Hope you had fun. If you did, let me know so I can prepare. And if you have any suggestions as to what you want to learn next month, drop them, send me a DM, and I definitely will tailor the sessions to suit your needs.